Hello, Crystal Palace. Welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Live Lunch. This is a place to share positive and useful local information, a chance to find out about elements of the community in more depth and keep us all connected during this time. So today is we've got two fantastic guests, so it's bonus day. So we have Noreen Meehan, who is the director of Crystal Palace Festival, and also on the newly formed town team, and we'll be joined by Christopher Braime to talk about that as well. So Noreen, starting with the festival, you've just announced the plans for this year, so tell us about that.
Hello, Eleanor. Hi, everybody. Yes, really exciting plans. We are going online with the Crystal Palace Festival this year. The festival will take place on the 16th, the 15th and the 16th of August, and it will be broadcast live from the Upper Norwood Library. So just to explain a little bit more about what that actually means, we've been really lucky to get funding from the Arts Council, and we have some other funders I'll tell you about later, to actually put to an actual temporary television studio up at the top of the Crystal Palace, the Upper Norwood Library. So we've got two beautiful rooms there. We'll be building two sets, one of which will be a live band set, and also we'll have some small theatre and dance pieces happening there as well. And then in the other set, we'll have two presenters who will tie the whole thing together, and they'll be able to do lots of shout outs to the community. We'll be asking people if they'd like to tweet in and let us know what they're doing at their festival at home. And there'll also be a solo performance spot, which is for singer-songwriters, spoken word and comedy. So we'll be going back and forth between these two sets. We'll also be out in the community making some films in the run up to that as well, and those films will be part of the programme too. So this is going to be streamed out live on the 15th and the 16th of August. So we're asking everyone to get festival ready, and if they're lucky enough to have a garden, they can party in their garden. If not, invite your friends round to your home. If you've got what's it called, the bubble, you can invite your people in your bubble round to your house. You can invite other friends to your garden if you're lucky enough to have one, and we can all party at home together, and Crystal Palace can connect through this online festival.
Oh, it sounds completely awesome. Amazing. It must have been quite a difficult decision to decide to go online, though. What were your thoughts around making it a weekend online?
Yeah, so we're just about to press the button really on the live event, which was due to happen in June, and there was a whole program of activity and people and artists lined up to participate, and COVID hit. So it took us a little while to reorientate. I think everybody felt quite disorientated during that time, and to think about, well, what can we do? And we were very lucky that we'd already got some grants from the Arts Council and from Croydon and Bromley Council, which allowed us to carry on, and to that was all project funding, which mainly was for outreach projects, which we do quite a few of every year, and also to support deaf and disabled artists. But that allowed us to carry on we had some core funding in there as well. And we thought about it, and there's an awful lot of content coming out, and a lot of wonderful content, but we did think that perhaps the best thing to do was to try and recreate the festival as much as we possibly could on one weekend, and to have that as a really joyous occasion for everyone to come together and to have real impact. And then all of the projects that we were going to do out in the community live, we've also managed to pivot those online as well. So we just thought, this is an opportunity to bring everyone together for one joyous weekend.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Tell us about the funding then. So you've got Arts Council and from two of the councils.
Yeah, so we had originally got this project funding back in February, and Croydon and Bromley Council had also given us funding towards outreach projects as well. So that funding is there, and some of that supports our core costs. So we have to pay for things like freelancer fees. I'm a freelancer, marketing, admin, insurance, those types of things. So they pay for some of those. And then they also pay for these outreach projects, working with young people, older people, people are socially isolated, and giving them creative opportunities. So that's one part of our funding. Then we also applied again to the Arts Council for the online festival, and we were surprised because so many people had applied for that. And you know, obviously the arts world is, you know, in turmoil. Many people are applying for this funding, so it's very competitive. So we were surprised, but really excited and delighted to get that funding. And what that is funding is a very high quality technical setup. And that will be supporting sound, cameras, lighting, production design, and obviously the streaming of the event as well. And that is going to be really high quality broadcast quality stream. So you'll be able to watch that on all devices. So we're really lucky. And then we also have some local sponsors who were able to stick with us. They were able to fund us. So Amflet Lissimore, who is one of our co-headline sponsors, who've sponsored the festival every year since 2011. Martin and Co, again, an amazing community supporter. They're also the headline sponsor along with Amflet Lissimore, and they've supported us since they came into being, I think, in Crystal Palace around 2013. So they're really, really, grateful to them. Bambino, Andy from Bambino, who is the godfather of the festival, as we call him, because he's one of the founders of the original festival back in 2006. He's also sponsoring. And then GLL, who are the operators of the National Sports Centre, or Better as they're known as well, they're also sponsoring. And finally, we have Palace App, who is it's a new app that's been launched for the Crystal Palace area. So they're our sponsors. And we also have a charity partner, though, just to mention. So this is again a very, very important funder, because the Queen's Hotel owners, London Hotel Group, have actually signed up to sponsor the festival for 3 years. And despite being in the hospitality industry, which is obviously seeing a very torrid time as well, they have stuck with us, and they are still our charity partner for this year. Wow. So I think I've mentioned everyone there.
Well, that's an amazing community effort. That's fabulous. How are you going to reach and connect the community then? You mentioned pre-videos and kind of tweets and encouraging people to tweet in on the day and things. What are the plans?
Well, one of our really special projects that we had planned for the outreach work that we were going to do was actually called a dance movement project called The Big Ball. And that was we were going to invite community groups to get involved in that and to come and dance in our high street. However, obviously that's not happening. So we've had to think very carefully about, well, what do we do? So we've now recruited a community cast of members for this particular piece from amongst our volunteers. So obviously every year we have these amazing volunteers. This year we don't have as many because it's much more technically focused. But we have invited our volunteers to get involved in this movement piece, and they are going to be coached by Temujin Gill from Grounded Movement, which is an amazing dance company. We've worked with him before. He worked on the opening ceremony for the 2012 Olympics. So they will be coached to create their own dances, and they're also going to be coached to their own films of their dance. By Roz Cheshire, an award-winning filmmaker, and that will all be woven together in a film that will be broadcast during the festival. And so that's one way we're getting out to the community. Then we also had a project called the Grimm's Collecting Agency with Teatro Vivo, and this is it's just about collecting the stories of Crystal Palace. So they will be out the week before the weekend of the festival in Crystal Palace, looking for stories. So they will be talking to members of the community and finding out what's been going on in their lives, and then they will be weaving that into a theatre piece that will be performed live during the online festival. We also will have the Usherettes, who are street performance duo, and they're going to be wandering around telling people about the festival in the week beforehand. So we're
Amazing.
going to have a festival song. They're going to be singing a song, telling everyone about the festival. So we are trying to, make sure that we've got publicity and engagement offline. It's not all just online as well.
Okay.
And finally, on that, we also have a talent call out, which we're launching next week for young poets, for performance poetry. So we really want to find some of the best talent out there, and the winner of this particular call out will be performing live. And as you mentioned, in all of the things that we're going to be doing, we're going to be inviting the community to send in shout outs, tell us what they're doing, and our presenters will be able to tell everybody else what's happening across Crystal Palace.
Amazing. And these projects you've just mentioned, are these the kind of extra workshop type things that you were mentioning earlier, or have we got more of those as well?
No, they were the extra workshop things. There's a few other things that we've got up our sleeves that we're working on at the moment, which will be part of the online festival, which are, one of them is particularly about celebrating Black culture and the contribution that Black artists have made to popular culture. And then we're also working with some deaf and disabled artists as well. So all of these were originally funded by Arts Council and Croydon and Bromley. And then there's a project that will be happening a bit later in the year, which is in one of our local schools. And unfortunately, because the schools are not around in August, we won't be able to present that, but we'll be presenting it later in the year. So that's some of the other work that we've been doing out in the community as well.
Awesome. Well, it would be nice to have a kind of extended festival, kind of another bit that comes back later. That'd be brilliant. So other than looking for young poets, what else do you need? How can we get involved?
So at the moment, we are looking for artists. We are programming. So if people are interested in performing, do get in touch. If there's singer-songwriters, if they're bands, we do look for artists who perform their own original material. So there are some slots left, so you can still get involved. In terms of volunteering, as I said, it is a bit lower on the volunteering side of things because it is so technical at the moment. So that's really, it's not really a shout out for volunteers this year. We are going to be approaching local businesses very shortly about getting involved as well. And I think this is where the rest of the community does come in, because we need you to support our local businesses. So we are going to be asking our local businesses if they'd like to get involved and put together a festival pack. If they're a food or drink business, what can they offer you for your festival weekend at home? We want people to shop locally, get their festival goodies in, make their home festival ready, and settle in for a weekend of hugely exciting entertainment. So we'll be releasing more details about those types of activities as well. But there is opportunity to get involved really just by supporting your local economy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what's the best way for people to contact you to find out? There's the Crystal Palace start again. The Crystal Palace Festival website presumably is the best place for people to go.
Yes, or you can email me direct. So the website is crystalpalacefestival.org, or you can email me directly at info@crystalpalacefestival.org, and that will come directly to me.
Fabulous. Thank you. Do you have anything else that you want to add about the festival before we move on to the town team?
I think the main thing really to say is that I think this is quite a unique thing, really. I don't think I've heard of anyone else doing, certainly on kind of community festivals or, this type of event, doing something actually live as a broadcast, and actually inviting people in to perform. I've seen a few other things, like they did something at the Hideaway in Streatham, which was a live concert, which was lovely actually. But I think that for us, in Crystal Palace, we love coming together during festival time. People love to connect. We want to try and connect people together. I know it's not going to be quite the same, but we'll do our best to make it a really fantastic festival atmosphere. So do tell everyone, do tell your friends, do tell people who normally come to Crystal Palace for the festival that they can join in as well. They may not be in London, but wherever they are in the country, wherever they are in the world, in fact, they can party with you at home. So it's going to be a wonderful way to connect with everybody. So we're just trying to get the word out that this is a really special event, and it's something a bit different, we think. So we look forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, you absolutely will. Fantastic. Cool. I'm going to introduce Christopher Braime now at this point to tell us about the I don't know what's wrong with me today. Sorry, town team. So
I mean, is an excellent thing, but also specifically the town team. Hello, Alan. Thank you for having us.
hello, welcome. So tell us a bit about the town team.
Well, the town team as it stands is a bit of an ever evolving thing at the moment. We are a group of people made up of business leaders, community leaders, local councillors, and residents, and all interested parties who are basically here to promote Crystal Palace and to drive change and to drive improvement within Crystal Palace, to be a sort of focal point for that.
Mm-hmm. And why do we need it?
We have a lot of unique challenges in Crystal Palace, and I think there's probably a lot of London areas that are not dissimilar to this, but I think perhaps the problem is particularly acute for Crystal Palace, that we sit on the edge of several London boroughs, and as a result, quite understandably, it's actually really difficult for any one single council to sort of coordinate a response and to coordinate a plan that creates the best for Crystal Palace. And so I think there's a group of people who realised, I think this is a realisation that happened a long time ago, and there's been some really successful work done over the last few years, but we want to create something longer term that allows us to really focus on issues for Crystal Palace and to create that environment where we can really improve things for people, to be a sounding board for the public. We want to try and make sure that we include as many people as humanly possible in this, and that we can create something that actually we can then open, that we have a dialogue with local councils, etc. We can actually create something that we can then send out to those political bodies and business leaders and people who can really drive this change and improvement, and coordinate that and focus it.
Because there's a lot of groups that are sort of doing bits of this already, aren't there? But they're sort of quite looking after things like the Friends of Gypsy Hill, who are obviously looking after Gypsy Hill.
And there has been for years. There's been some fantastic work going on, and it's really driven some success. I mean, I actually moved away from the area about 10 years ago, and I've recently come back, and I remember that Crystal Palace, it's always had a very special feeling, but the difference between the Crystal Palace of then and the Crystal Palace of now is extraordinary, and that has been driven by a lot of community work, a lot of hard work by individuals and wider groups who've joined together, and we want to, I suppose, make it easier for that to happen and create more of a focus.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what are sort of immediate plans?
Well, I mean, obviously, COVID-19 has had a huge bearing on pretty much every sphere of life. And one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to use it as an opportunity to show that actually we were more than just words. We wanted to create some actions and things that we could do that made a real difference. So we created a central resource and a central website for businesses, so that they knew how to access that funding and those grants and things that were available. And because, of course, understandably, there was so much noise going on at the beginning of this, it was really difficult to kind of centre in on the key messages and the key information that people, especially sort of business and community leaders, desperately needed at the time. So that was one sphere, was that we wanted to really focus that information, so give people a central point. And the other thing that I was a little more directly involved in was we created a website of local businesses and local community endeavours that were actually still open and providing services through the COVID-19 thing. So crucial things like pharmacies and things like that, so that people again had a central point of resource, so they could find all this stuff in one place. So that's the practical things that we wanted to do. But going forward now, it's about what we need to do now is spread the message that we're trying to do this, that we're trying to focus activity in Crystal Palace and to try and get as many people involved as possible. We do. It's very easy for groups like this to sort of exist in a little bit of a bubble, to use the phrase at the moment, and that. Actually, we really want to make sure that we don't. We want to make sure we get as many people involved, or at the very least, that as many people's views and issues are heard as possible, so that when we do create a plan of what we want to achieve, that it is truly representative of the people who live here and the diversity of the people who live here. Noreen's got a hand. I think she's about to provide a pearl of wisdom that I've missed.
No, not at all, not at all. I just wanted to say there's been a really good example of this locally as well, that South Norwood have done something. They have this initiative called We Love SC25, and it's quite similar process where they've done a big engagement in their community and got lots of people involved, heard lots of voices, as Chris is describing, and they've managed to get a grant of £1.7 million for South Norwood, which is not small change. So these things can be done, and so this is part of the inspiration. So I just wanted to mention that, because it's an important reason why this initiative has come about, because people are doing it, and why not Crystal Palace? And then Chris says there's so many wonderful groups and people out there who've done lots of work, but also there's lots of people who I'm sure would be love to get involved, who haven't managed to do anything as yet for whatever reason, and the idea is just to try and pull as many people who can do things, who've got the skills, who've got the time, who've got the talents, but also to hear everyone's voices into this. So yes, and that's already kicked off a bit, hasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's and as you've just said, I mean, this is why it's so important, because if you get coordinated responses, they lead to real change and real differences, and we basically want to make sure that that's happening for Crystal Palace and the surrounding areas.
Fab. So how do people get involved?
Well, actually, the next opportunity to get involved is coming up, which is so it's rather fortuitous, and some may say in some way planned, that I'm speaking today. But for the 4th of July, obviously for many people a rather significant date, is going to be the Crystal Palace Town Team's open meeting. Now, originally we were going to make this a public open meeting, but of course COVID-19 has rather changed things. We did debate as to whether or not to pull the handbrake on it for now, but given the level of uncertainty, we just thought actually we need to move ahead. We need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for people, and that we've actually included as many people's voices as possible. So what we've decided to do instead, for the moment, is to use Zoom as a meeting platform. It's not ideal at the moment, unfortunately. It will miss some people, but it will at least make a start. And obviously, going forward, we will want to, as restrictions become lifted, etc., we will want to open out into to speak to as many people as possible. But the purpose of this meeting is, first of all, for us to provide information as to what we're doing, so that people understand a little bit more about what we have done so far, what's been achieved, what we are in the process of doing, and how we want them to be more involved. And so I think the really important thing here is that if there is something about Crystal Palace that you love, that you want to preserve, if there is something about Crystal Palace that indeed you want to improve and that you want to see changed, then this is your time. This is the time to say something about it, and to either be, if you don't have time to be an active part of making that change, but it's a change that you want to see, then come and join in our meeting, come and talk to us about it, so that we ask questions, so that we get a real idea of what it really is that people want. So obviously, being online, we need to find a way of getting everybody together. So what we've done is the meeting is at 11 a.m. Via Zoom on Saturday, the 4th of July. We anticipate it'll take about an hour. I mean, maybe a tiny bit over if there's lots of questions. It'd be nice if there were lots of questions. But we're asking people to register for that event so that we've got numbers sorted out. They need to go to www.crystalpalacetownteam, all one word, .org.uk. So www.crystalpalacetownteam.org.uk. They can register for the event there, and then we will be, shortly before it all kicks off on Saturday, we'll be sending out the Zoom link to everybody.
Brilliant. Fab. Well, I have signed up, so I will see you there.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yes. Fab. We are coming to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you guys want to add about the town team or indeed the festival before we wrap up?
Put the 15th and the 16th of August in your diaries and don't go anywhere. Be at home partying with your friends and your family.
Having done a big shop from the local shops to get yourself ready for a party.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. It's been brilliant to have you both on. And I have to say, super efficient chat. Well done. I did not think we'd fit all of that into less than half an hour. So I'm really impressed. And that bodes well for Saturday as well, actually, for a very efficient meeting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you for having us, Eleanor.
It's a pleasure, always, anytime. So just before we finish, I have a couple of very quick announcements. One is that we are always looking for people to add to the live stream programme. As you probably all know, now we have a big live stream programme through the Upper Norwood Library Hub. We're always looking for more things to stream. We have a few slots available. So if you have something you'd like to share, please get in touch with us at info@unlt.org. We also have a very exciting new project that we launched a couple of weeks ago, which is All Alone Together, is looking at the impact of COVID-19 on our community. There is a very, very short survey. It's literally 4 questions on our website, and I'm sure the link is going to appear in the video feed in a moment. We would love, just like Chris was saying, we would love to have as many people involved, because basically the more people who fill this in, the bigger perspective we get on the community and what we can do to help going forward. There's also an option to tick if you're interested in being interviewed, in which case that will be me, and I would love to have a chat with you. Mostly that will be for research, but we will be using short sections of the interviews to create a podcast so that we can hear each other talking about our experiences in our own voices at the time, sort of like an audio time capsule, you know, and used to kind of bury things in the garden and leave it for 10 years. Well, this is the audio version. So we're really excited about that, and we'd just love to have as many people as possible get involved with that. Another strand of the same project is being run by Casper Kennedale of Clear Community Web, and he actually has funding to give 10 tablets to people who need them. So he's sent me a list of what's the requirements, basically, which is that it must be people who are either self-isolated or classified as vulnerable, who have no internet access or the means to acquire it, who are over 70 or on low income and have limited local social support. And what will come with the tablets is also some training so that you can use the internet properly, stay safe. So if you know anybody who this would benefit, please get in touch with him. It's Casper at clearcommunityweb.co.uk, and he's moving very, very fast on this, so please get in touch with him this week. I think that's it from me. Tomorrow I am speaking to Joe Hunt from the Kingswood Community Shop at midday, so please do tune in for that. In the meantime, stay safe. Thank you very much, Noreen and Chris. It's been brilliant to have you. See you again soon, hopefully. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Bye for now.
Bye.